Hi, everybody. This is Apple Brian, Apple Baseball Classics, bringing to you the Tuesday night NFL Picks to Post show, which we do every week. Might be flying solo tonight. I do not see Dan, and I've not heard from him, so he may be coming on later and running late, or we may be by ourselves. Today is we're celebrating week 12 of the NFL week, and the word for today is gobble gobble. It is Thanksgiving week. I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and I love this time of year. I love getting together with family. Dan's family will be coming up here to see us during the Thanksgiving weekend, and lots of football this weekend. In Kansas, we have the high school state championship games on Saturday. I love following those. Usually go to them, but it's going to be kind of miserable weather, 40s and rain Saturday. And unfortunately, they play all the games at the same place or at different locations at the same time. Can't see all the games, but some will be online, some will be on television. I can watch those. All right. Last week on the Picks to Post show, I went 10-4, much better than the previous week. Dan went 9-5. Apple Lori was 9-5. She will not be with us tonight. She had a hair appointment a couple days ago, and it got canceled the last minute and rescheduled for tonight. Bruins fan went 7-7. DJ John 9-5. Matt sends his picks into us 8-6. And Justin went, I don't know why that fell out of focus, but anyway, he went 9-5. Ross Channel gained 2 games on us, so I believe we're now only 1 game ahead in our picks competition. All right, let's get right to the picks. We have lots of picks to pick this week. There will be 16 games. Nobody is on their buys, so a full schedule this week. We're joined by Bruins fan. Good evening, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. And yep, looks like I am flying solo tonight. But that'll work. We'll be fine. First game tonight is the Buffalo Bills at the Detroit Lions. Well, Buffalo's now in a familiar venue. They played in Detroit last week because of all the snow. You probably heard about it. And Detroit is coming off a 3-game win streak, break up the Lions. This is an important game for the Buffalo Bills. They have 3 divisional games coming up with the other teams in their division. Miami 7-3, New England 6-4, Jets are 6-4. So they want to be sure to win this one and go into those 3 very important matchups. It's going to settle the AFC East. Everybody in their division has a winning record. Josh Allen's numbers have slipped a bit this year. He's 65%, 21-10 on touchdowns and interceptions. The thing I've noticed in these last couple of weeks where the Bills have stumbled, it seems like Von Miller seems to be coasting, which is understandable. He's a veteran, but he leads the teams in sacks, 8 sacks. And this week, linebacker Rousseau is very questionable. He may not be playing. He's the next highest with 5 sacks. So that's Buffalo's pass rush. And if they come without a pass rush to play Jared Goff and the Lions, that could be a problem. Bruins, we're also joined by DJ John. Both DJ John and Bruins fans are, of course, picking Buffalo. So I'll get you guys down for Buffalo. I'm also picking the Bills. Detroit, even though they won 3 straight games, Jared Goff is not playing all that well. No touchdown passes last week. He had 165 yards passing. He may get a big benefit with Jameson Williams, very high draft pick from Alabama, who's been injured all this time. He is coming back, and they've got 3 weeks to decide what to do with him, whether to activate him and He may be activating this week, and he may be playing this week. We'll have to see. Detroit's got 2 offensive guards on the injury list. They're questionable. It's always tough when you're missing 2 guys from the same unit. But again, they might be helped by if Von Miller doesn't step it up and if Rousseau is not playing. The shocking thing about the Detroit Lions to me is they held Saquon Barkley last week to 22 yards on 15 carries. I just cannot believe it. Last week I said before the Lions game, I thought that the Giants would saddle up Saquon Barkley and ride all over the Lions. That didn't happen, and New York didn't win. So anyway, I'm picking Buffalo to beat the Lions. Next game up is the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. I said a few weeks ago, I think the honeymoon is kind of wearing off New York football. Jets lost last week. The Giants lost last week. I do think they're solid teams. I do think they're possible playoff teams. But both teams have some particular challenges. This is, to me, a very close game. Dallas won big over the Vikings, so everybody's putting America's team in the Super Bowl, especially Jerry Jones. And Skip Bayless. If you watch him, I can't stand Skip Bayless. Let's see. Bruins fan is picking Dallas. Giants, I said they have some challenges. One thing, this challenge is they're going to lose another wide receiver. Wan'Dale Robinson will be out. So that gives Daniel Jones even less weapons than he's had. New York defense is very physical. They play tough. They'll play you 60 minutes. They'll play physical in the middle of the field. But they have nobody on their team that has more than 2 sacks, and nobody in the secondary with more than 1 interception. So they don't take risks. They kind of play straight up. And I'm not sure that that's going to work with Dallas in their new mode of playing the way Cooper Rush was playing, managing the game on offense. DJ John is also picking the Cowboys. I picked Dallas as well, but kind of with a caveat, this was a close game to me because let's see, Bruins fan, they couldn't have played too well against the Lions. Anyway, this game is a close game to me, so I got out Fast Drive Football, and I played it on my channel this morning. I went through yesterday and figured all the Fast Drive Football ratings for all 22 teams up to the first 11 weeks. And that took me a couple hours, but it gives me a chance to play a couple of games before I pick them. One of the games I played was the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. Dallas won that game this morning on my channel, 31-23. Prescott had a couple of touchdown passes. Zeke Elliott had a couple touchdown runs. Daniel Jones had 2 touchdown passes, and Barkley had 1 touchdown run in that game. And I think that's probably how this game is going to work out. But if the Giants get their running game going and don't get caught in third and long passing situations, then the Cowboys will not get an opportunity to rush the passer. Sort of like that Green Bay game where Rodgers only threw 6 passes in the first half. That just totally negates Dallas's pass rush when you're not throwing the ball. So New York is going to have to establish the run early and stick with it to keep their overwhelming pass rush off them. If they can do that, they'll have a path to victory. I don't think they can do it. I'm picking Dallas. Next game up is the New England Patriots visiting the Minnesota Vikings. All right. I'm one of those who thinks that the Vikings are overrated. They've given up more points than they have scored. They've only played 3 winning teams, and those games did not go well for Minnesota. And most of the rest of their wins have been within 4 points or less. They've been pretty close games. Again, this is another even game. I didn't play this out on Fast Drive Football, but I'm leaning toward choosing the Patriots. Patriots are kind of lucky to get that win over the Jets. Vance Wilson played a horrible game for the Jets at quarterback, but they got that punt return touchdown by Marcus Jones at the very end of the game as time expired. There was not one but 2 blocking of the backs. The NFL says that obvious one around the 10 or 15-yard line, that was from the side. I hate it when the NFL tells you things that you can see with your own eyes. That was blocking at the back. No flag. But also early in that return, when it started, there was another blocking at the back that was a little less obvious than that one. Nevertheless, the touchdown stood, and there's been about 1,000 punts this year, and that's the only punt return touchdown that's happened. Mac Jones is kind of being strung along by Bill Belichick. He's at 69%, 4 touchdown passes, and 7 interceptions, so they're not really opening up the offense. They're relying heavily on Stevenson, who's got 644 yards, 4.5 average per carry. So the Patriots, strong defense, not a lot going on offense. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, a close game. The Vikings streak of Kirk Cousins throwing 39 consecutive games with a touchdown pass ended last week. And they're facing another very strong pass rush this week. They couldn't keep the Cowboys off Cousins, and they may have the same problems with New England if they don't establish the running game. I thought Minnesota's game plan against Dallas last week was horrendous. They needed to establish the run like Green Bay did, keep Cowboys off Cousins. They didn't really even attempt to establish a run, and it didn't happen. So Cousins was sacked several times. He had a very poor game. It's kind of well known, too, that Kirk Cousins does not thrive in primetime games. He has a poor record in primetime games, and this is definitely Thanksgiving night. This is definitely a primetime game. Who am I picking? First of all, Bruins fan is liking the Vikings. So I'll let you know, for Minnesota, have not seen DJ's pick yet. But I am picking the New England Patriots. I think the Patriots, in a tight one, will get it done. All right, now we go to the Sunday games. And the first one of that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Cleveland Browns. All right, let's see. On the Tampa game, I think Tampa Bay is sort of getting themselves back together. They're I think, the odds-on favorite to win the NFC South. They have a half-game lead over Atlanta's 5-6, and they've got a game-and-a-half lead over New Orleans, who's 4-7. And I don't see Carolina putting it together and catching up with them. We're starting to see, I think, a rejuvenated Tom Brady. He is at 66% and 12 touchdown passes to only 2 interceptions on the year. That's outstanding. The team is healthy. They're working in running back Rashad White to help Leonard Fournette. And I think things are going in a very positive direction for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Cleveland, their center, Posick, is out. He is injured. Myles Garrett is definitely back. He's got 8.5 sacks, 9 tackles for a loss. But Jacoby Brissett is just kind of holding his seat. He's just he's got to hold on one more week before Deshaun Watson comes on. And it's a lame duck situation for the Browns. I am picking Tampa Bay in this game. And let's see, this is a tough one. Bruins fan also likes Tampa Bay. DJ, if you're still with us, I need your New England, Minnesota pick. Oh yeah, here we go. He is picking New England, and he's picking the Bucks, Tampa Bay. So we'll put that game to rest. And next up is the Cincinnati Bengals at the Tennessee Titans. Kind of another tough one to pick. Cincinnati is looking very good. Joe Burrow is looking like Joe Burrow lately. Might get Jamar Chase back this week. Still a little bit questionable, but he is activated, and I think he's going to play. This game was a playoff game last year in Nashville. Cincinnati beat Tennessee. Going into this game, the only drawback I see with the Bengals is that Mixon is very questionable. He is on concussion protocol, so I'm not sure he's going to be playing. And lately, they've gotten a run game going with Mixon, and that's helped him quite a bit. Let me see. They've got a defensive back that's having an outstanding season since Von Bell, safety, has got 4 interceptions. All right, Tannehill is back for the Titans. He's at 65%, 10 touchdowns against 5 INTs. And they better hope that he can stay on the field the rest of the year. Malik Willis is totally not ready. And also, not only is he not ready, Malik would really be a different style of offense. He'd be more like Baltimore's offense. Bruins fan is picking Titans in this game. And DJ John is also picking, no, he's not picking Titans. He's got Cincinnati. I just think D'Amico Autry, Weaver, and Jeff Simmons can pressure and sack Joe Burrows. I think Cincinnati's given up like maybe, was it 40 sacks? I have to look that up, but it's something along those lines. He's still not getting a lot of protection. Let me see. Let's see. Cincinnati has been sacked. 33 times. There's another team out there that's been 40 times. We'll get to them. I am picking in this game Tennessee. I just think they're a tougher team. We totally could not run against Tennessee, and I don't see, especially if Mixon's out, I don't see Tennessee running against. I say we, I'm talking about the Chiefs when we played them a few weeks ago. But I totally don't see Cincinnati running on the Titans either. Also, I give a little bit of a coaching edge to Mike Vrabel. I think he's a slightly better coach than the Bengals coach, although he's a good coach as well. But I'm picking the Titans in a close one. That might be one I should have played with Fast Drive football. Maybe I'll play that sometime between now and then, but I'll stay with my pick. Next game's not hard. That's Texans against the Miami Dolphins. Houston Texans. Dolphins are coming off a bye. And the big thing with Miami I'm seeing is they have really picked up their running game with their two former San Francisco 49er running backs. Most starts been with them all year, but they picked up Vance Wilson Jr., and he has really added a lot. Let's see, Houston is like 31st in the NFL in yards gained against them. So I could see Miami's running game going crazy. And Houston's going to play two deep safeties like teams did against the Chiefs to try to contain Waddle and Hill. But they may still run past those safeties anyway, and they're not going to be able to control intermediate passes. Tyreek Hill is very good on intermediate passes. He's not just a deep threat. I just don't see any way the Texans are going to stop Miami. And I think Miami is definitely an ascending team. Bruins fan has got Miami as well. And DJ John likes the Dolphins. So we're all down with Miami. All right, next up is Chicago Bears at the New York Jets. The Jets are going to be wearing their blackout uniforms. There are three teams wearing blackout uniforms this week. I don't know why they chose Thanksgiving to wear black, but that's what's happened. All the alternate uniforms are going to be black. So Chicago Bears at Jets. This game is going to be really hard to figure. Fields has a shoulder injury, not his throwing shoulder. He is very questionable. Wayne Simeon's the backup. Simeon plays, I see the Bears having no chance. Bears still have offensive line issues. Last year, we spent about half the year complaining about their offensive line, and we kind of consider it the worst pass blocking offensive line in the league. They may have improved slightly, but not by much. Bears will have to rely heavily on their run game, and they've got a great run game with Khalil Herbert and Montgomery. But Quentin Williams is a run stuffer for the New York Jets, and that line in general can stuff the run. DJ John has got the Jets. New York Jets for DJ John, and Bruins fan has the Jets. I also have the Jets. Robert Saleh is having his come to Jesus moment with his quarterback. He said a few weeks ago when Vance Wilson came back that he was his permanent quarterback for the rest of the year. Wouldn't make a change last week when it was run. I watched that game, and Vance Wilson was horrible. He only completed 9 passes in the game, and he was like missing passes that Andy Reid and the Chiefs consider to be running plays, like the little 5-yard throws to the backs. He'd throw the ball over the guy's head, throw it behind him. It was unbelievable. Vance Wilson was horrible last week. And then he followed that up with a horrible press conference and would not take account. And that never goes well in the locker room. There's a lot of things I like about Patrick Mahomes, but when he plays bad or has a bad game, which is rare, but he's the first one to stand up and own it. I mean, he kind of knows where his mistakes are, and he seeks to correct them. That's just a character issue. Lori and I were talking about that, I think yesterday. It was about how these two people were raised. Vance Wilson was probably raised a lot different than Patrick Mahomes. I think Mahomes, he is a humble, he really is a humble man. And I think he saw that humility or developed it playing high school football in the state of Texas, which is highly competitive in high school football. He was not surrounded by superstars at Texas Tech, so I'm sure he learned more humility there. Vance Wilson, on the other hand, totally would not take account of what he was doing, and it was downright arrogant. So now Saleh today has changed his mind and says he is reconsidering, and he should do more than reconsider. I think it's going to be Flacco or White. I don't know which one he'll go with, but he needs to make a move now because the Jets' competition is they're all winning teams, and if they're going to make the playoffs, they cannot make it with the quarterback play that's what Wilson has been giving them. I would say right now, Vance Wilson is still he's got some talent, no doubt about it, but he's still a developing quarterback. In this game, I believe it's sort of too early to know, but I do believe Saleh will make the move, and he'll put in Flacco or White, and they'll have a competent quarterback. The rest of that team is definitely playoff ready. I've watched them play a few times this year, and their fundamentals are about as sound as any team in the NFL. They block and tackle, and their defense gets after you. They're fast and young. And Sauce Gardner is, I think, the best corner, definitely the best rookie corner, probably the best rookie in the NFL. He is a force to be reckoned with, 6'4" with long arms, fast, and will tackle. So I'm counting on Saleh, but I'm picking the Jets. I agree with you, Bruins fan, and DJ John. Next up will be the Washington Commanders. Oh, no, wait a minute. Yeah, hosting the Atlanta Falcons. Commanders are going with their black uniforms. Kind of hated their uniforms when they first came out, but they're growing on me. I think I'm kind of becoming okay with them. All right, this Falcons-Commanders game. Falcons are trying to keep up with Tampa Bay. They're 5-6, half a game behind Tom Brady in the NFC South, and they're a game ahead of New Orleans in that NFC South. Kyle Pitts is out. He's got a knee injury. Mariota needs all the help he can get, so that's not good news for him. I don't think that the Atlanta Falcons secondary is going to be able to cover McLaurin. Heineke and McLaurin have a very good chance of going off in this game. Falcons' run defense is very weak. So Robinson and Gibson have been slightly disappointing this year for the Commanders, but they could put on a performance this week against Atlanta. They're 30th in yards allowed. I like the Commanders, and I've been on their case for a while. I said 2 or 3 weeks ago that they could easily be the two games they lost. They could have easily won those games. They were stopped at the goal line in one of them in the fourth quarter, and they had a huge lead in the other one game in the fourth quarter, and some crazy things happened that they lost. DJ John likes Washington in this game, and Bruins fan is picking Washington as well. Yeah, they get Chase Young back, and Chase Young is not for sure he's playing this coming week yet, but he has been brought off the IR, and they've got 3 weeks to activate him. I think they're ready to activate him. I think he's going to be in the game. And if he's in the game, consider this: Washington will have 4 former number 1 draft picks playing on the defensive line, and that is a force in the NFL when you've got that much talent. If Dan were here, his team is the Washington Commanders. He's from he lives in Arlington. His family is from Arlington, Virginia. So he's followed the Redskins as they grew up, and he's followed Heineke. And the question I want to ask him, if Heineke is a hot commodity right now, he's playing well. And he's had other times when he's played well, but it seems in my mind that he tends, after a certain number of games, he tends to kind of fade. Hasn't happened yet, but there may be a history of fading there. Wentz needs to stay on the bench. Heineke, Wentz is ready to play. He's back from his injury, but Heineke is definitely hot, and he is throwing the ball well and leading his team well. I'm with you guys. I'm picking Washington Commanders. All right, the next game is this I think is the snooze fest of the week. Most any game with the Broncos. Denver Broncos against the Carolina Panthers. Let's see. Baron Browning is a pretty good defensive end. I think he's going to be a star, but I didn't see him on the field a whole lot last week. I mean, he did play, but I don't know if he's nursing an injury or not. Broncos have finally gotten fed up with Melvin Gordon. He has fumbled for the last time. They gave him his release, I think, yesterday. I would say quarterback or head coach Nate Hackett is on thin ice. If they lose this game, I'm beginning to think that Hackett's not going to make it through the season. They get Gregory back, defensive end that they got from the Dallas Cowboys. He's expected to return. I look at Russell Wilson, and he's kind of reminding me of another Wilson, Vance Wilson, especially in the arrogant attitude department. Russell Wilson is not having a good year, and I don't think he's accepting much accountability like Vance Wilson, and that never plays well in the locker room. So that's two teams that have been held back by their quarterback. Denver has an outstanding defense, especially their secondary and rush ends, but I don't see the quarterback going anywhere this year. Carolina has benched Mayfield. He got one game. He's back on the bench. It's either going to be P.J. Walker or Sam Darnold. Walker, the owner likes Sam Darnold. He made several comments before the season along those lines. And he's ready to play now, and I think it might be Darnold. Or it could be P.J. Walker. I'm not sure yet. It's too early to know. But whoever it is, that may give Carolina a shot of energy. If this benching Mayfield's going to work, they're going to have to get their very ample running game. They've got a good running game going, and be sure that it will not all be on Darnold's shoulders if he's playing, especially since this is his first game. But I'm kind of liking Carolina in this game. Bruins fan says flip a coin. I agree. This is a pick 'em. But Bruins fan is also picking Carolina. DJ John likes Denver. Denver does have a quality defense. I just don't think that quarterback can score enough points to help their defense. So we got 2 on Carolina and 1 on Denver. All right. I think as a channel, since it's 2 out of 3, we'll go ahead and send Rob Carolina. People talk about Carolina's defense as being a really good defense, and I don't see it. They're like 20th in the NFL. That's in the bottom, almost to the bottom third. It's like the low end of the average. They've got some players, but overall their defense is not that great. All right, next game is the Baltimore Ravens at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going with Baltimore in this game. I think this is a fairly easy pick. Baltimore is on a roll, and they're 7-3. They've got a 1-game lead over Cincinnati. They can't let up off the gas pedal, or Cincinnati will catch them. Cincinnati is the only competition in the AFC North that they have. They got Mark Andrews back, and that's a big deal for the Ravens. I think in my mind, he is just behind Travis Kelce when it comes to the pecking order of today's tight ends. Jacksonville has struggled in 4 of the last 6 games offensively. They're not scoring a lot of points. Quarterback Lawrence is playing okay. 65%, 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. But and their stars, Etienne, he and Kirk, receiver, they've all had decent seasons, but I don't see this team. They played the Chiefs a couple of weeks ago, and I don't see this team coming with a lot of energy. I mean, they were the hot thing first 3 weeks of the season. Everybody was on Jacksonville, but they have since those first 3 weeks, they have pretty much fallen off the cliff. And the Ravens are getting stronger. The defense is getting healthier and stronger. They're finding Kenyon Drake more, and that's easing some pressure off the quarterback, Lamar Jackson. I like Baltimore very much in this game. Bruin fans has Baltimore, and DJ John also has Baltimore. Down. Now let's go to the Sunday afternoon games. First of all, Sunday afternoon, we've got the Chargers at the Arizona Cardinals. Speaking of a team that's not lost their will to win, I would say the Chargers are on the opposite end of the spectrum as the Cardinals, and as Jacksonville, I was just talking about, the Chargers came into Kansas City, or they hosted Kansas City. Felt like a Kansas City home game with all that red in the crowd and all the cheers for the Chiefs last Sunday night. But man, the Chargers showed up. That's a game I played again on Fast Drive Football. And I got to ask the question, how accurate is Fast Drive Football? Now, I didn't play this week's game, but I played it last week before they hosted the Chiefs. And see if I got that score sheet here. Yeah, I do. They beat the Chiefs 29-27. And that's kind of how the real game went. They didn't beat the Chiefs, but they were beating them through the first 58 minutes and 13 seconds. One thing Fast Drive can't take account of, is Patrick Mahomes leaving a game-winning touchdown drive. That was almost a 90% done deal when he hit the field with 2 timeouts and a minute and 43 seconds to play. And as he said, Mahomes said, they practice that a lot. But folks, the Chargers are coming. They're kind of getting healthier. They'll get Bosa back here in a week or two. I thought that the Chargers would be really hampered by their defensive line. Last week I didn't take into account that the 2 defensive linemen that were injured now for season, both of those were backup linemen. And they signed that number 69, Linval Joseph. He was fantastic Sunday night against the Chiefs. He was just all over the place and a handful to handle. We did run the ball pretty well against him. But I think we run the ball better than Arizona. James Conner is a big back. He's kind of been disappointing. He's been injured earlier in the year. He's healthy now. But I don't see Arizona getting a big run game going against – they're going to run the ball a little bit against the Chargers, but not a lot. And that Chargers secondary is – they're cut above. They're pretty good. Derwin James is outstanding now. Travis Kelce beat him a couple times, but he also stopped Travis a couple of times. The reason why I think the Clippers will beat Arizona is LA's offense is just too diverse for them. They can do short passes to Austin Eckler. He is an outstanding pass receiver. They can run the ball with Austin Eckler. They're not going to have Mike Williams. It looks like he tried to play against the Chiefs, but still had hamstring problems and was only on long enough to make 1 catch. But they got Keenan Allen back, and Herbert can hit him all over the field. Keenan Allen is a elite pass receiver. And I don't see – I mean, he matches, in my mind, DeAndre Hopkins. I think he's as good as Hopkins. Chargers, Bruins fan says Chargers. DJ John says Chargers. We are all on the LA Chargers. It was that Mexico game, the high altitude. I thought San Francisco had a way better approach than Arizona. They went to Air Force Academy, practiced in high altitude for a week. Now it probably takes more than a week, but if you start drinking a lot of water a week before you go to high altitude, that's very helpful. And I just think that San Francisco had a much better approach and a ton more energy than Arizona. Arizona looked like they didn't care, especially that touchdown pass to Kittle. When he ran down the sideline, it looked like a couple of Cardinals had the angle on him, but they just had no no interest in making that tackle. He just sashayed down the sideline and scored a touchdown as easy as it pleased. I thought he should have been stopped. I definitely think Cliff Kingsbury, he probably won't be fired during the season, but I think there's a good chance he'll be fired in the offseason, shortly after the season. Arizona is showing every sign of fading like they did last year, and I think the big fade started last week. I'm picking the Chargers. Okay, next up we've got, I think, an interesting game. Las Vegas Raiders and the Seattle Seahawks. I was surprised that the Raiders won last week. I didn't pick them. They've got so many stars, but in this game, I don't think they really have much of a chance. Seattle is coming off a bye week, so they've had, Bruins fans said Vikings had no interest. That's true. I mean, you can kind of see it on TV. They just were not into that game. They got taken out early, like the first play with the strip sack, and they were never in that game like Arizona was never in their game. Yeah, you're dead right there on that one, Bruins fan. Back to this game, though. Seattle's coming off a bye, and I think that Kenneth Walker III is going to run all over Vegas Raiders. And Metcalf and Lockett, I see having big days. The Raiders got Devontae Williams, but he has been so frustrated the last few games. I mean, he's got frustration written all over him. He did last week. He had a decent game, but he is frustrated and things are not going well. People want to blame all the problems on Carr. I don't. Carr is at 62%, which is lower than he usually is, but 15 touchdowns and 5 interceptions is plenty acceptable. And Josh Jacobs has run for 930 yards, 5.1 average. Seattle might be a challenge to run against for him. I just think the rookie corner, Tariq Woolen, he may be able to cover Devontae Adams. Adams will have his catches, but I don't see Adams taking over the game. And Mac Hollins, very early in the year, he was looking fantastic. Actually, his numbers were actually for a couple of weeks were better than Devontae Adams's. But the last few weeks, we saw in the Kansas City game, and we saw last week also, but he is totally just not on the same page as Derek Carr. He's zigging when Carr thinks he's going to zag, and zagging when Carr thinks he's going to zag. And things are not going well there. I'm picking Seattle in this game. I think they'll win. And let's see, we're down to the Kansas City game next. LA Rams at the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, but let me get your Seattle picks. Bruins fan also says Seattle. DJ John says Seattle. Got you. Now to the Rams and Kansas City game. Who's going to play quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams? That's very much in question at this point. Matthew Stafford is on concussion protocol. This is his second time on concussion protocol. I don't think it'd be wise to put him back in there. And he and Cooper Kupp, who's also injured, are prime examples of what happens when you go into the season with a depleted offensive line. Your quarterback and your star may not make it through the season, and that's what's happened to the Los Angeles Rams. It's going to be either Wolford or Perkins. Perkins played after the Stafford concussion. He's kind of a running quarterback, sort of along the lines of Lamar Jackson. I'm really not familiar with him, but I did see him play a little bit in that game. And Wolford, he's questionable with a neck injury. So they could actually come to Kansas City and go into that game with no backup quarterbacks. So I think they're furiously looking to sign some quarterback somewhere off somebody's practice squad or something. They're going to need a body in case the first two can't go and Perkins gets hurt. They have 10 combinations in their offensive line. And again, they've not been able to protect anybody or get a running game going. I don't see the Rams secondary keeping up with our receivers. Let's talk about the Chiefs. All the talk about the Chiefs was, Tyreek Hill's gone. What in the world are they going to go do? And last offseason, people were shoveling dirt on the Chiefs. And like they talked about on Good Morning NFL, the media had the Chiefs dead to rights in the offseason, but people in Kansas City were kind of snickering. And I was one of those snickering. I thought the Chiefs had a very good chance. They would develop their players, and they had a good plan to get younger, and that's been working out. Just like they had a plan 2 years ago to replace their offensive line after the offensive line got slaughtered against Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl. That plan worked out pretty well. I don't think I've ever seen a team as deep at wide receiver as Kansas City is this year. They went into the game without Juju Smith-Schuster, and they went out without Nicole Hardeman, two of their top three receivers, and they did not miss a beat. Still, Mahomes is over 300 yards. Jalen Watson, who is a Tampa Bay discard, Brady didn't want him. All he's done for the Chiefs is make one big catch after another. He has not had a lot of catches, but they've all been big and they've all been well down the field. He had two big catches in that touchdown drive against the Chargers, where Travis Kelce scored the winning touchdown at the end of the game. Sky Moore finally got some targets, and he performed very well. And I thought that might happen with him once they took him off of worrying about returning punts. He wasn't very good at that. And he could concentrate on being a wide receiver. I thought sooner or later this guy is going to be what they thought he would be when they drafted him, and he made 5 good catches for good yardage last week. I think we're going to see more of Sky Moore as we go down the road. Jody Fortson had a terrific catch. The first big catch of the Chiefs last week was down the field, number 88. Very popular player on the Chiefs. He was on the Chiefs practice squad for a year or two, and then he had a great training camp last year, and then blew out his Achilles heel and missed the whole season. But he has kept after it, and they moved him. He was a wide receiver, and they decided to put some weight on him and move him to tight end. And he looks like a good blocking tight end. He threw a tremendous block on one of Kelsey's touchdowns. And he can also catch the ball, and he's fast. So, yeah, Forston is another guy that you don't know a lot about, but you're going to see more of coming up. Patrick Mahomes is amazing. He has never lost a division road game. And the other stat I want to bring out about him this week, it's a new incredible stat every week with Mahomes, but he has the most career 300-yard games with 3 touchdown passes in those games than any other quarterback in NFL history. He's been starting for 5 years. That's it. And he has more of those games than any other quarterback in NFL history. Leads Marino by 4 in that category. And Marino had a much longer career than what Mahomes has had so far. If Kansas City loses the game, it would be a shock. Now, the things that there's a huge line, it's 14 or 15 points for Kansas City. But some things that might want to make you think twice is that when Kansas City has blown people out this year, they've all been on the road. Their home wins have been pretty close, knockdown, drag-out fights. And some they've had to come from behind on. So they have yet to really play their best football at home. I don't know why that is. They've been terrific road warriors, but their home games have been all pretty tight. Next up, the New Orleans Saints at those rising San Francisco 49ers. Bruins fan, this is a very tough pick. Just kidding. Kansas City can sit Mahomes and still win. That might be a thought. If they get a big lead at halftime, they need to give their backup Chad Penney some work. It's been a while since he's been on the field. That is definitely a thought. They won't set him to start, but if we do get a big lead by halftime, or maybe by the fourth quarter, it would be wise to get him out of the way. We don't want Aaron Donald running over him. Although we're pretty strong in that interior line with Trey Smith, Humphrey, and that holding call last week on Humphrey was totally bogus. The Charger guy got off that block with his arms extended to the referee like it's a hold, and I don't think the referee saw anything because looking at the replay, there was no holding. He just threw his flag on what the Charger guy was doing. So I can't say no run away. All right. Also, Bruins fan thinks this Niners game will be a rout as well. I'm not sure it'll be a rout, but here's what I'm thinking on the Saints San Francisco game. New Orleans defensive line through most of the year has been pretty stout, but they have sprung a leak lately against the run. They've allowed a lot of rushing yardage, and couple that with an inconsistent offense that can't be counted on. I don't think they have much of a chance against San Francisco. Now, looking at the injury report for the Saints offensive line, they've got 2 offensive linemen, both guards, are questionable with an undisclosed injury, so I don't know what to make of that. It's early, it's Tuesday, but they could be going to that game without 2 starting offensive linemen against San Francisco, and against that defensive front with 2 starters out, that's a problem. They might get the rookie Trevor Penning back, which would be a good addition. San Francisco, I give amazing stats about Patrick Mahomes, but here's one on McCaffrey, their running back. For his career, he averages 50 yards carrying and 50 yards receiving every game, average for his career. That's a 100-yard game every game for his career. That is pretty impressive. Again, I think the 49ers stock is rising as they get healthier. People say you can't win with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know why not. He's at 67%, 15 touchdowns against 4 interceptions. I'm kind of thinking that Trey Lance is not the future at San Francisco. I know he's a talent, but Garoppolo just rolls along year after year. Came into the game, they locked him in a cell without a playbook early in the season because they totally want to give Trevor Lawrence a chance until he got hurt. And then when they brought in Garoppolo, it was almost like he did, after the first week, it was almost like he didn't miss a beat. He's been outstanding. I'm not sure that Trey Lance is their future. Let's see. DJ John likes the Niners as well, so we're all on San Francisco. Get ready for some more black uniforms. Let's see. That's going to be Green Bay at Philadelphia. Packers are going to come out in their all black. So today I made a black helmet for the Eagles. And I also played this game on my channel. And this game, let me see, was amazingly won by Green Bay, 21-13, definitely under the total, 34 points, and Green Bay covering. Could that happen? The way the Eagles have been scuffling the last 2 weeks, and they haven't got one of their main core players, tight end Goddard, it could happen. But Philadelphia's been looking ahead. They signed two fat guys in the middle, in Dominic and Sue, and the other guy's name escapes me. Is it Linville Joseph or Linville Elliott? It's Linville something. And they worked him in right away. I mean, Sue was with the team, I think, for 3 days, and he played a lot of snaps last week, and he played pretty well. So if those two guys stand up to Aaron Jones and J.J. Dillon, Green Bay is not going to win. The only weakness on this Eagles team is their rush defense. So they've taken a big step. I was kind of hoping the Chiefs would go after Ndamukong Suh. Eagles beat them to it. I don't know if the Chiefs were ever thinking about that. Aaron Rodgers is at 65%, 19 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. I don't see the Packers secondary staying with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Watkins. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be able to pass the ball around the field, and I think they're going to be able to run. If Green Bay is able to run and they can keep the pass rush off Rodgers, and if Rodgers is not throwing the ball all over the field, I can see them having a path of victory. I just don't think that's going to happen. I am picking Philadelphia. Okay, Bruins fan thinks this game will be closer than we think. I agree. He is taking the Eagles. Got you down for Philadelphia. And DJ John likes Philly as well. This will be, I think, this is the Sunday night game, and I think it's one of the games of the week. It's going to be, it could be a snoozer if the Eagles or if the Packers can't get a run game going, but they might. I think it'll be a good game. We're all picking Philadelphia. Next up is another interesting game. Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday night going to Indianapolis to play the Colts. Steelers and Colts. TJ Watt's back for Pittsburgh. They're re-energized. Also, I think Mika Fitzpatrick is expected to return. He's coming off an appendicitis attack. So I think if he's playing, they'll have their 2 stars on defense back. They got to protect Pickett, the quarterback, better. He's at 65%, but at 3 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Najee Harris has been a little disappointed, but it's all their offensive line. It's another team, Pittsburgh, that's got to improve that offensive line. And that's something they need to take a very hard look at this coming draft, which is in 2023, which is going to be in my backyard in Kansas City. Najee Harris is averaging 3.7 yards per carry, and if he doesn't do better than that, you can't keep Pittsburgh out of those long pass downs, and you could rush the Steelers. I definitely see the Steelers harassing Matt Ryan themselves, unless Jonathan Taylor goes off. He's been playing pretty well lately. Colts are back all in on Matt Ryan, probably why Frank Reich got fired. Jeff Saturday has done a good job. They were very competitive against the Eagles, nearly beat him. He could be 2-0. So this franchise has taken a real change in direction, and it's been a positive change. If TJ Watt gets all over Ryan, or Mika Fitzpatrick is 100% able to go, Matt Ryan could be back to the Matt Ryan we saw before, getting tackled in the pocket and fumbling or throwing interceptions. He has 10 touchdown passes against 9 interceptions, 69% accuracy. But if he's wearing TJ Watt all day, it's going to be hard to say he's back. Colts, another team with an offensive line need, they have allowed 40 sacks. That's the team that's allowed 40 sacks. So that will do it with our picks. I'm on Indianapolis. DJ John likes the Steelers, Pittsburgh, and Bruins fan likes the Colts. So that's 2 out of 3. With the Colts, I think we'll send the Colts to Watch Channel. So there we are with all the games. I think we've covered them all. I don't think I'm missing any. There should be 16 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 16 out of 16 games. The picks are in. Now it's time to cross our fingers. Again, last week it wasn't too bad. I just heard Apple Lori walk in the door, but we are basically done. Hi, Apple. Lori. She's on the site.
Hello, everybody.
She is all beautified. She's coming from her haircut. You look great.
Thank you, sweetie.
All right. DJ John and Bruins fan, thanks for joining. And the others who are not coming, you're always welcome if you tune in this pick show to give us your picks. I'd like to have them. Bruins fan has a question. Brian, do you think TCU belongs in the college playoffs? I do think they will. I'm not sure they're going to make it. They're going to have to get through their title game, Big 12 title game. They are a very physical team. They're hard to tackle. I think that's their hallmark. Their receivers are outstanding. They're big. They're kind of like some of the Charger receivers. And they break tackles. Quarterback is a tough guy. Duggan, I think is his name. He's not a flashy guy, but he is tough. And I think he's pretty smart as well. DJ John says, thanks, Brian, and thank you, DJ John, as well. You all have a great Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving time of year. I love getting together with the family. Hopefully we won't pass some germs around, but we'll have a good time. Thanks for watching. And if you are up for it, tune in Rob's channel. I'm going to go to Rob's channel shortly to give him our picks. We have been sliding in our competition. I think now we are only 1 up. Both games we lost last week were very close, but his channel won. Thanks for watching. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Goodbye.